go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, returning from hiatus into this new fresh season of the SGM podcast, Mable Jiang, CRO of Find Satoshi Labs. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's my pleasure.
I'm so stoked to get you. The pod's been on hiatus for a bit. I couldn't think of anyone better to kick it off again. You guys have done something that a lot of Web3 startups out there are still trying to do, haven't figured it out. It's how to be not only profitable, but how to be successful. So that's what I want to talk to you about. Find Satoshi Labs has been at the forefront of blending this lifestyle component with blockchain through initiatives like STEPN. If you're not familiar with STEPN, go and check it out. How do you see this evolving in the next couple of years?
Yeah, so I think last time when we chatted, I thought I brought up an interesting point that you also had a lot of echo on, which is I think in this industry, too many people were building infrastructure. Not that many people really care about things like what the consumer wants or, thinking about user acquisition, which is the hardest thing to do, to be honest. Any product that is consumer focused is actually the hardest to build. Not to mention, I think in Web3, you're direct to customer. Like a lot of the time, you're not necessarily using any PR agency or marketing agency or anything. You're doing all of these yourself. You're facing community yourself. But I think kind of going back to your question about where everything is going, we do feel like in the next 3 to 4 years, the mass adoption is going to happen. So it's quite important that we need to be here at the forefront of being able to offer users the consumer apps that leverage blockchain technology, but do not necessarily require them to understand it from the very deep level of the tech, including things like how gas work or like how the staking node work or whatever. All of those, it doesn't. Like we should be tailoring a consumer experience that really provides them the convenience of the blockchain technology, and at the same time also allow them to enjoy the entertainment part of it, the social part of it. I think that's something that we will be continually doing.
That's interesting. You're talking about mass adoption, and it feels like we've been talking about it for a couple of years, and these things I recognize it's not linear, takes time. What do you think will be the driving forces that we require that's not currently there, and even if it's currently there in infancy, what's going to be the driving forces for mass adoption?
I think good question. I think back in the days when STEPN was being built, a big part of it was that we were able to build a relatively intuitive wallet for people to use, and that wasn't even like a account abstraction wallet or MPC wallet. It's just purely a non-custodial wallet that still require people to write down their C phrase and then keep that themselves. But still, because of the very intuitive user experience, I think that was able to really onboard a lot of people. So I think wallet was definitely a big part of it. Not to mention, I think STEPN launched in 2021. I think over the past 2 years, now it's like almost like 3 years. We've seen a lot of wallet solution that's been, much better, that does not require people to understand what is gas and here and this and that. So I think that would be a huge part of it. I think the other side of things is that people need to be okay. I think going back to a lot of the maxis kind of discussion, like a lot of the ETH maxis or whoever maxis, like they would prefer to keep everything purely on chain. Or do not want to accept anything that's not verifiable. I think for any of the consumer product, you have to be able to accept sometimes there needs to be a middle phase. Like you would have to have a transition period where people are gradually learning about it. And then as the tech progress, like you would be able to continually integrate more and more things that is verifiable on chain. And then obviously you have to balance about like the cost of like whether we actually want to verify everything on chain, right? A lot of the consumer experience are like very low value transactions. Those may not necessarily need to be on chain. Like that's like a different discussion. But I think that kind of mindset change is also very important. That's even more important than whether people are understanding blockchain or whatever. Because at the end, it's the builder that creates these products. And then I think in 2017, 2018, people were still very obsessed with the idea that we have to build something that's fully on chain. I don't think there's anything wrong about fully on chain games or anything. I think those are very interesting, and some of them even leverage the idea of MVV, minor extractable values, and those and that, to really offer the interesting experience of on chain game theories. But at the same time, I think sometimes these builders are too obsessed about things are being on chain than what is the customer experience that you want to cater to the users. That's the most important thing.
Which segues so brilliantly to Gas Hero, because you guys, after STEPN, you knocked it out of the park with Gas Hero, and it's exactly what you're talking about, right? It's not viewing something as a blockchain game specifically, but incorporating a blockchain element into a game for a certain purpose. Talk to me a bit about Gas Hero for people that may be not familiar with it.
I usually would just tell people that it's a simulation of a society. What I means is that the game, well, we still call it a game still, but in order for people to understand, it's a strategy game that have a lot of social component. It offers a tree-like world structure where people can compete and collaborate with other people, which is kind of like a simulated society. I think the important part of it is that people could leverage their understanding of strategy to really thrive by interacting with other people, both competing and collaborating. So I think a lot of the time people would not necessarily be able to do be at a certain position, a management position, or maybe like be a really good PvP player in the real world. But in this thing, it's kind of like a second life for them. We were trying to integrate a lot of the resource exchange component into the game so that like it naturally leverage blockchain, like on-chain trading. But at the same time, at the end, I think that in this world, it's exchange that makes everyone develop and grow. So I think that also goes back to why I'm saying like this is a simulated society. Everyone is exchanging for things that they need.
When you guys sat and sort of developed, or when the product idea was in infancy, what kind of need did you see Gas Hero fulfilling? Was it community? Because community is such a buzzword at the moment. Everyone's trying to build a community. What was it for you guys?
I think it's actually that STEPN was very successful in the sense of the users can interact with the game itself, with the system itself. Like people are also connected offline. They enjoy work, like, meeting up with each other and then doing a lot of things. But unfortunately, in game within STEPN, there wasn't that much social that's available. We really wanted to do something that's around social, but then also, leverage, like I said, the strength of blockchain, which is really fast, instant settlement, and then everyone whichever, wherever you are, like you can exchange your resources with others, right? So kind of combining those components, that was I think how Gas Hero really got incepted.
That's very interesting. A couple of quick questions before I let you go. Imagine you were in the year 2030, right? And you're looking back at the journey of Satoshi Lab and Gas Hero and STEPN and all these great products that you guys are building. What story would you tell about their impact on society and the blockchain ecosystem?
I think it's that making people interact with the product that we build that do not necessarily realize that they're interacting with blockchain. I think that's already a huge giant leap for humankind.
That's also because I think as well, it's for me, blockchain doesn't need to be at the forefront. It's best if it's at the background. It's not this flashy, shiny sort of AI thing that you interact with. It does its best work behind the scenes. Last question. If you could collaborate with any person, organization, or fictional character to promote or enhance Gas Hero, who would it be, and what unique twist would they bring to the project?
Not sure if it's an IP that you are familiar with, but a lot of the East Asian, like my generation, like they grew up with watching. Have you heard of Evangelion? It's a very famous IP.
Yes.
I think it will be awesome for us to work with them. I think there's actually quite a few IP in Japan that we would love to work with. But EVA is just like my personal childhood kind of memory. I think it's also shared by a lot of the same, like, people in the same generation. Especially people who like the cyberpunk kind of theme, which is also
cool.
the background of Gas Hero. So I felt like that's a good very good combo if that could happen.
Yeah, so looking at for the people watching on YouTube and Spotify, obviously you're not going to be able to see it, but her background features all the characters from Gas Hero. Looking at those characters, I think I said to you offline as well, those look very IPable. It's not a word, but you could use those characters to branch out. Yes,
it's my background here. Like
yes. So they need to go and look on YouTube for it, and I think that's such an amazing opportunity to bring those characters into real life and into other facets, like you said, into sort of look for other major players and collabs. Is that something that you are actively looking at, or is it a bit far in the future?
So for Gas Hero, the most I guess the quickest collab is likely to happen at the end of February. It's actually with a publicly listed company in Japan. I cannot say the name, but it's going to be a big collab. It's one of the first for us. But for Find Satoshi Lab for STEPN, we've done quite a few of them. We started with ASICs, and then we also worked with Steve Aoki, and also Atletico de Madrid, which is a Spanish soccer club. Like it's ranging actually quite widely. But we always believe that if we were building a product that is relatively well known in the space, meaning Web3 space, it's quite important to expand further, to bring to more people. And then working with IP, working with brand is the easiest way. Even like, physical merge and here and there. So that's exactly what we've been building in the past 2-3 years. That's always been something that we are very keen on.
Completely love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. If the listeners want to go and connect with you and find out more about STEPN and Gas Hero, where can they do that?
Yeah, so my personal Twitter handle is Mable _JIANG. But Gas Hero or STEPN, their Twitter account is just Gas Hero Official and STEPN Official. Both of them are golden verified, so it's very easy to find.
Especially in this bot Elon Twitter Facebook Zuckerberg life that we're living. Just go and make sure you connect with the right accounts. We'll leave everything in the comments as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Web3 superstar Mable Jiang, thank you so much for having me for joining me on the pod, and have a great one.
Thank you. You too.
To our listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. We'll catch you in the next one.